But if they declare that they are going to do this, and they don't have the constitutional authority to do it, and that will certainly be the case in the United States, then it is possible for you in the United States to fight it and stop them paying the money to this organization unless it can be shown that they have the constitutional authority to do it. And
absolutely, Lord Monckton.
They don't have that constitutional authority unless this is a treaty and unless it is ratified by the Senate. So I think that with luck, anything that comes out in just the form of a constitutional, of an executive agreement, will be something which you can overthrow and defeat and say no to. Even though the Supreme Court will bend over backwards to do what Obama wants, in the end it does have to uphold the Constitution, and it can't, I think, countenance the circumvention of the Constitution by the executive agreement procedure on a treaty with such major financial and political implications as this.
Okay, Lord Christopher Monckton, again, sorry to be interrupting, but I want to move into some other areas and get your expertise on them. I want to play a short clip. This is a story up on prisonplanet.com, Infowars.net. Steve Watson out of the UK wrote it. Rothschild talks about the difficulty of global government's agenda at Copenhagen. So he talks about the difficulty of selling this. So I want to play the clip and then ask you, Lord Monckton, why did they deny world government for so long when it was in their own documents? Then they came out in the last couple months and admitted, okay, it's global government run by private groups. And then now they're retreating from that but still pushing the agenda. It appears on the surface that they are really beginning to show real signs of stress and that this is a mortal wound, that ClimateGate is literally hemorrhaging all of their support. But here is the short clip.
Yeah.
It's past the point of talking. We know historically that the global governance the sort of agenda to these issues is very hard to try and, with all the best intentions, it's very hard to actually activate. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing a lot of fragmentation going on in Copenhagen, a lot of different agendas pulling in different directions. And I think what we really need to see is people on the ground starting to actually act upon the low-hanging fruit and start to try and move on the solutions that we have at hand.
Okay, so that's the headline, Rothschild Ruse, Difficulty of Advancing Global Governance Agenda at Copenhagen. That was on Bloomberg Television. Lord Monckton.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think they are finding it difficult because they got caught out. You see, let's remember how they hid this treaty with the word government in it. What they did was they put it on the website of the Conference of States Parties to the Framework Convention on Climate Change, but they called it a note by the Secretariat, and it was only a vigilant friend of mine who realized it was too large to be just a note by the Secretariat, too big a file. He opened it and found this treaty buried at the back of the note, 186 pages at the back of a two-page note. And there, in it, when I read it, was this business in Annex 1 at paragraphs 36 and 38 about a world government that was going to take over all the financial and other markets. There'll be no such thing as a free market anymore. Lavish taxation, etc., huge powers. Never had any government worldwide had such powers as this was going to have. And they got caught out. They had hoped they could leave it there. And then when they got this through at Copenhagen and people started objecting, saying, we hadn't realized it meant this, they would have said, but it was on our website all the time. That was the cheesy game they were trying to play, and they didn't get away with it. Because it was publicized and because, particularly in the United States, people stood up and got in touch with their legislators and said, we are not having this. This treaty shall not pass. It became really impossible for them to get away with it in the way that they had originally hoped. They still hoped that by making it an agreement, by taking out the word government, but by leaving in all the institutional framework, which is what they're now calling the world government, they might still get away with it. And now what Rothschild is saying is even that is proving problematic, because there are so many pressures, particularly from ordinary American citizens, getting in touch with their legislators, using their last few days of democracy and freedom to fight to keep it that way. That is what, above all else, has helped derail.
We just lost our guest, so we will reconnect with him. as soon as we can. That actually sounded like a power outage to me. We'll get Lord Monckton back on the line with us. Having a lot of phone troubles lately. But think about it. World government is now out in the open, and they go on international Bloomberg TV and say, oh, yes, people don't like our global governance, so we've got to go with the low-lying fruit. And what is the low-lying fruit? We're going to ask Lord Monckton that question now. Sir, can you hear me again?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Okay, well, the miracle of technology, we're talking to you in Europe, we're here in the United States. What is the low-lying fruit he's talking about? Is that what you're discussing of how they're going to do this by stealth through the bureaucracy and through just getting national governments to just give tax money to this body like they've been doing in the past?
That's right. What they'll do is they'll start with the institutional framework. This is the world government structure, because that doesn't require any agreement about how much the Western countries will pay towards the poor countries, how much money the poor countries will get, how much CO2 emissions Western countries will have to reduce, ditto, ditto. All of that difficult stuff they won't do. They will do the easy bit, and the easy bit bureaucratically is always agree to set up a bureaucracy. All bureaucracies are very good at setting up new bureaucracies. So that's what he means by low-hanging fruit. He means let's set up the world government. And that's what they're going to do. And I think that's the one outcome which is more or less guaranteed from tomorrow's final negotiations. So this conference is actually due to end tomorrow. It will, in fact, go into an all-night session.
Stay there.